This is our story, life with an STD.
Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can never.
Hi, my name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Canada. That's having me as a big flex. I am the founder of Herpes Canada, growing the largest herpes awareness platform because I inspire people to love themselves more. The vision of Herpes Canada is to be at war with the stigma until our community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. Super excited today. It's been a while since I got on here, and good one of these. We have the lovely Tiara. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Tierra Stanley. I am a life insurance agent, broker, been helping families protect themselves and protect others. I've also come from a journalism background and have been in sales for about 10 years now. Super excited about this interview. Have never told my story publicly online. It's the first time. I have admitted that I've had herpes for quite some time now. Through different groups of people, and of course also word of mouth, people find out. But this would be my first time telling my true authentic story, so thank you so much for having me. Herpes could never.
Well, the honor is mine, trust me. How did you find Herpes Canada, and what made you want to use Herpes Canada's platform to be the first time you share your story?
Okay, so I've always wanted to be a spokesperson on it since I found out. But when I found out, I was around 16, 17 years old, and there was no outlet. There was no communication. It was kind of hard to pinpoint how you were going to tell your story because there was no one like you who created such a platform where we can be honest and transparent with each other without judgment. So I went through a lot of scrutiny throughout that time that I found out, and I started being shameful and decided to close myself because as one of many, doctors told me that you couldn't pass it unless you had an outbreak. So I didn't feel the need to disclose everything to everyone, especially because of the scrutiny. But yeah, I ran into Herpes could never being online. Actually, I talked to one of my cousins and she told me about a lady she sent me information on Facebook. And when I went through the Facebook, I just started Googling like people that are survivors of herpes. And of course, yours is so liberating, and mainly because everyone is just like so bubbly, you got some trend words in there. It's so much fun, and it's taught me so much. I will never forget the first live. I believe it was actually the day after Herpes Day, so never even knew we had a day until that day. That's pretty dope. And then as I listened, and I just noticed so much. And to be honest with you, I started crying immediately, mainly because I was unaware of a lot of facts, didn't know a lot of information, and it automatically just made me feel shameful because that means that I exposed more people than what I would have want to. And because I was misled, I put myself in positions that I shouldn't have. Some I know and some I don't know. A lot of them I don't know. So, that's really what got me to Herpes Canada, and I've been addicted ever since. I mean, every time I get on, I find out more information, and I'm just like, wow, this stuff needs to be out. And I believe God has perfect timing above all things. So although this is, I feel, always been my calling, I've also felt like I've been redirected in this position due to life circumstances. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited to tell a little bit more of my story and hopefully inspire others to speak out to talk freely and to love yourself, because I'm still learning to love me.
Wow, I love that. I love that you're here. I love that you feel the energy that we're trying to bring. One thing about Herpes Can Never is we wanted to create a positive platform. There's a lot of herpes support groups out there, but some of them can be very sad, a lot of trauma bonding, a lot of let's cry together and just live in the stigma together. But what we want to do is change the narrative and break the stigma. So we're so happy to have you, and I'm so happy you found us. And for those of you listening in, we host lives Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Wednesdays we're doing the healing work. It is Wednesday. But moving forward, what type of herpes do you have? When did you find out? You said you were like 16, 17.
Yeah.
What was that process? What was that journey? How do you go from finding a diagnosis, living in shame, to being at this point where I'm telling my story?
Well, let's say sometimes you are chosen. I don't necessarily think when I found out that I was going to have to be as transparent as I am now. It kind of happened, 16 years old, you're young, you're naive, you barely understand life yourself. I was being a hot ass, to be transparent. At that age, I definitely didn't love myself. I had some issues, suffered through PTSD, and a lot of people don't want to admit that mental health have a lot to do with you being a slur, but it does. Clearly there's some morals that are mixed up for you in order for you not to love yourself enough to stick with one partner. And I had an outbreak, and when I had the outbreak, it hurt. And I remember calling my mom in the bathroom, like, Mom, what in the hell is this? And she immediately took me to Planned Parenthood, and they tested it, and they found out that I have the virus too. So it sticks in one spot, doesn't really go around. I don't have like symptoms on like the mouth or fingers or anything like that. And when I found out, I remember asking the doctor questions, and they had no answers for me. It was as if I just became an alien overnight. And I remember guessing that, okay, well, maybe I need to, eat better and do better because of what they were saying. But mainly it just became stress for me. I took it as long as I don't stress out, I'm good. As long as I don't stress out, I'm good. And I was so devastated. It was 16. So I remember going home and crying for like 2 weeks straight. Didn't want to go outside. Didn't want to do anything. I instantly fell into depression. It was something that I had to deal with for the rest of my life, and I knew it, but I didn't even know how to deal with myself yet. I didn't even know who I was at 16. And the fact that doctors that are medically, with degrees couldn't tell me anything. They were just like, hey, take these pills whenever you have it. And, you don't pass it unless you have an outbreak. Just don't do anything with an outbreak type of thing. Mm-hmm. I just felt like, okay, my life is over, I think, but it's not HIV or AIDS. So it's not necessarily going to kill me, but they don't have any, they don't have any information for me. So, taking that in, I was just kind of like, wow, what do I do next? And I remember the only person that knew was my mom. And I decided to reach out and talk to somebody that I quote unquote felt like I could trust. Mm-hmm. Somebody I hung out with. And I called her crying hysterically, let her know what went on, how I felt. And by the time I went outside 2 weeks later, everybody in the hood knew. Everybody. I mean, when I say everybody, I mean everybody. I didn't even know that when I was going outside, I was going to be going outside to a walk of shame. Yeah. So, I'm only 16 and a half, almost 17. It's this girl that I kicked it with every day. Yeah. And she told my business to everybody. So when I went outside, I had people calling me ugly names. They called me sluts. They called me whores. And at first I was confused. I was so confused that I couldn't even like ball up a fist or like want to fight. It was like that type of pain, like where I was just kind of like, wow, what do I do next? Because I've already been told I have something for the rest of my life. I don't know who I am. And then on top of that, now everybody is like downplaying me. So I didn't know what to do besides admit the truth. And I don't know who inspired that 16-year-old to go ahead and admit it. Because when I look back, I've had thoughts like, Tierra, you could have whole life denied the situation, fought her, and left it alone. Who was going to tell me otherwise? You would have had to prove it. So, and I thought about that. But whatever the case may be, I didn't. I put my head up, even though I was hurting in the inside, and I just started admitting, yes,
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that and the scrutiny that I went through and how my schools found out, people that I didn't even know, like, I don't even know your name, but you know my story. I don't even know who you are, but you know more about me. And they were talking so much that it got to the point where I was just like, okay, am I ever going to live a life that's normal now? And that's when my spiritual journey started. I mean, I've always been a true believer in God. I've always put him first in my life. I've always been somebody can talk to. I just never really found that common ground to, get that in return. So it was just hard to deal with.
Especially dealing with that in high school. The kid was so mean.
Babes.
Yeah.
Have no idea how they if they could throw stones, they definitely threw them. Like I didn't have any friends, they felt like they had to tell everybody to protect everybody, but they couldn't protect me. And by the way, majority of the people I was with were sexually active and had STDs. They just had something that was curable. So because somebody like me had something that was going to be with me for the rest of my life, they shamed me. They made me feel little, and to be honest, I definitely wouldn't put nobody out there. But those same people asked me questions about herpes later on in life. They asked me what outbreaks were. They asked me, was it like this? Did it look like this? Did it, and a lot of them I found out later on had it. And I still haven't told their story. It was just easier for them to throw the blame on me because I've already admitted it. So, and that really caused me problems because some people might have even thought I gave them something. I've never slept with somebody that they slept with, but because I'm already out there with it. My face already attached to it, and theirs is in secret. It was just easier for them to blame me, And I found that out later on, down the line. I'm not perfect though. I have done some things that are not as pleasant as I wanted to be. But I feel like it all came from me not loving myself for sure. Just not even knowing who I was at all got me there. So, yeah.
Your transparency. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I always say I'm at my first in 2017. I'm still on this journey and process of learning how to love myself unconditionally. But in that process, I'm still learning who I am, who I want to be and what I want to cultivate, and separating what has been societal programming and what it's truly for me. So I'm on a journey as well. What has been your experience, like dating wise? Like, what was life like for you after high school into your adulthood with the herpes virus?
Well, let's just say it's never really been open enough. Like I've never been as open as I am now. I feel like I told a lot of people due to me already feeling like they were going to find out by somebody else. Like that, it was kind of forced. It was never open and transparent. I'm still learning to be open and transparent, still to this day. And that's just honestly, I got better, and I had like a crutch. And the reason why I say it was a crutch is I have 2 children. Mm-hmm. And when I met my children's father, he pretty much shut down the whole hood from talking about me. And that made me love him. And I felt like I had a sense of loyalty. I still feel like I have a sense of loyalty to him, even though things aren't always on the up and up with us. I still would never down bash him or make him feel less than or any of that, because when everyone was talking about me, he hushed it up. And it made me feel human for a little bit. You know, the years that we were talking, I started feeling like, hey, maybe I do have a place on this earth. Maybe I can be, what I said I was going to be. And still in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to be a spokesperson for it. I just didn't know how. There was no resources at all. And when I look back and I, just even listen to the workshops that you provide, I'm just like, wow, where was this shit? Because, excuse my French, it was none of it. You just walked in that stigma. That's why a lot of people don't even talk about it, And I remember educating people on what I thought was facts. Like 1 out of, 6 men have herpes. 1 out of 4 women have herpes. 1 out of 2 have oral herpes, and it seemed like it was enough information. However, there was so much more information than that. And nobody told me. I had no support system. I felt like if I put myself in an STD support system, that I was labeling myself, and it was shameful. And it was kind of like, dang, so these the group of people I belong to? Now I'm really alienized because this is who I belong to, and I didn't even see how I was going to live out my purpose with that type of scrutiny, Nobody really looked at me the same after that. I've like I said, complete strangers didn't even get the chance to know me because of who they thought I was, Yeah, they automatically.
What they say, rejection is redirection. What's for you won't go by you. So in hindsight 2020, your herpes is doing you a favor by keeping the people who ain't for you the hell away from you. That's one. When I found out none of this was here, neither. I found out, and that found out in 2015. That's not too long ago. So I just love to see the climate and the change and seeing so many people speak out about it, because when we tell our story, your story can save someone else's life, can change someone else's life, because people are going to feel seen through you. We all have herpes, but we all have similar but very different stories and very different experiences. And at the end of the day, doctors don't know everything. So that makes us the experts, the people living with it. But we can't learn and we can't build if we don't talk about it. Everyone's so want to keep it a secret. So we create these spaces to give people the freedom to talk and want to get things off their chest, and then realize how silly sometimes our thoughts may be, how much our thoughts, we can be the only person that stands in our own way. At some point, people get so caught up in the stigma that they never take the time to learn about the virus. It's so caught up in the shame that they don't even want to learn about the virus. And then they create this whole reality for themselves, living in that shame. So shout out to you.
Thank you. And I remember just speaking on that. I remember thinking like, wow, y'all calling me all these names, but the person who gave it to me still out there and living their best life. They not going through this shame. I didn't give it to myself. I remember thinking that. And I've been asked a few times, like, well, who gave it to you? Who gave it to you? And honestly, I can't tell you. You want to know why? Because it lays dormant in your body for so many, it could be years. Yeah. It could be years. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, this person. I tried. You know, I like to consider myself a detective. You know, I put some pieces together, but I can't shame anybody because this is who I am. So there's no reason to point fingers at this point. It's just for me to understand who I am and to be more transparent and upfront instead of allowing myself to go through darkness and just going ahead and saying it.
The narrative. Accepting this herpes stigma and just letting it be your life. You are choosing something different. You're choosing out of that, and that is commendable within itself. For anybody listening who has just found out they have herpes, what advice would you like to give them?
Love yourself. Love yourself. Take time to hug yourself. Take time to tell yourself you're beautiful. Take time to unshame yourself, because just because you have it doesn't mean your life is over. It just means that you have a new beginning. And live your truth. Don't wait years to live your truth. Don't sometimes do it. Do it all the time. Because I feel like I was a sometimes person, and that's not something you want to be. Give somebody an opportunity to know first. And I know there's stipulations to that. I've watched some of your episodes and I resonated with a lot of them. But you can live your worst fear because you're not living your authentic self. You don't want to live your worst fear.
And our last question will be, in what ways could herpes never? So herpes can never fill in the blank.
Okay. So herpes could never steal away my purpose. Herpes could never allow me to be less loved by God. Herpes could never stop me from being the best mom that I can be. Herpes could never make me shame others. I feel like herpes has been a great equalizer. When I hear somebody else's pain and story, I know I have a pain and story. So herpes can never.
Herpes can never. Thank you so much, Tiara. This was wonderful. Anyone that's looking for Tiara, I will put her information down below in the description box. You'll be able to find it. Yeah, herpes can never. Thank you.